So that was my attempt at playing Take Care of Me by Turnstile. Obviously, as with a lot of my other videos lately, there was no tabs because this song only dropped a few hours ago at the time of doing this video. But I deduced that they're playing in their half step down from standard tuning, so that's D sharp, G sharp, C sharp, etc. You get the hint. What I did in this preset was I actually used a pitch shifter to go from standard tuning half a step, one semitone down to get the half a step tuning, and that's kind of why that transpose pedal is in there in both lanes. Now for this sound, I actually already had a Turnstile preset up on the cloud, but it only covered the heavy tone, and then there's like the clean in there obviously at the start, which is very reminiscent of what we hear in C and Stars. And I already had a preset for C and Stars as well, so I was like, okay, well, I'll take the clean tone from the C and Stars preset, put it into my heavy Turnstile preset, and then, of course, in this song, there's like a tremolo part in the verse parts. And I kind of just guessed that. I didn't get that 100% spot on, but I find, just dialing in that stuff, I didn't really feel like it was the main focus of this song. It's that main guitar riff and then that cool, obviously, clean and whatnot, but mainly the rhythm tone. So that preset will be up on the cloud, but we're going to go through how I constructed this. As I said, there's 3 scenes in here. We can see there's clean, trem, and rhythm. We're on clean at the moment. So what we're going to do is just going to go over the clean tone. So we can ignore this because we already went over that. Compressor, obviously, because clean tones benefit from compression for good sustain, to make sure those notes sing through. And ratio 4, input -18, and then moderate settings elsewhere on this compressor. So it's the same as the C and Stars video if you've seen that. Then we've got overdrive here, which is actually being used for the trem version of this, which we'll get to in a minute, but that's grayed out just for the clean. Quintessential 80s clean amp is a Roland Jazz Chorus 120, of course. I think it's pretty hard to go past that, especially because this was the sound of the 80s, and the clean in this is very 80s sounding, so that's what we got here. We didn't touch the volume, pull back the bass but left the mid, push up the treble bit, put the bright on, and then nothing else. Then we've got the Roland Jazz cabinet on there. Standard, I didn't touch the mic positions, but I did high pass at 80, low pass at 8,000 just to clean up the cabinet, obviously to get us a good sound. Now in this clean tone, we've got a chorus on here. Pretty moderate settings, nothing too crazy. Chorus isn't the dominant factor here, but it does widen it and give it that 80s sound, so that's why the mix is 45. Then we've got the dual delay on there as well, because you can hear there's some delays. I did change this compared to the C and Stars preset just a little bit, but very little. I just kind of adjusted the feedback on the left and right. And then lastly, we have a plate reverb because you can hear it's dripping in reverb. So that's the clean tone. Nothing really crazy. I went over this in my C and Stars video. And then on the trem video, on the trem scene, sorry, not video, it's the same settings on these, except we've enabled this overdrive pedal now. I've got 1.9 overdrive, level 5, because I'm not trying to push the amp and get it too distorted. The tone's still 5.5, and I didn't really touch any other settings on the amp or anything like that. Now, one thing that I obviously did add is a tremolo. So I disabled the chorus and the plate reverb and the delay. We've just got the tremolo on there. The rate, I just approximated the rate at 8.3. It's pretty fast sounding tremolo. And then I messed around with the duty cycle and the width and whatnot, and the fade in, as well as the fade out, just to kind of get it to sound a little bit close-ish. It's not it's just approximate. It's not like spot on what the tone is in the song. But as I said, it's such a small part of the song, I didn't really want to spend too much time kind of going through and trying to replicate it. And I thought it was close enough that you kind of get the hint. Lastly, we've got our rhythm scene, where the clean channel's turned off. I've got the mute on the lane assigned to a scene. We've got the transpose in there again, going down once again half a step from standard tuning, -1 semitone. We've got the utility gate on here because it's the high gain tone. I've got a compressor in here. I'm using the Boss CS3 compressor because it's a compressed rock tone. It's very punchy in your face, and I find to get that turnstile distortion, you use a compressor pedal. We've of course got an overdrive pedal. I'm not using the Tube Screamer, Max on 808 to color the sound. I'm just using it as a boost and an EQ, so the overdrive is turned off in that instance. Now for the sound, I did go over this. This is from my other Turnstile video, where it is a heavier sound, and I used the EVH5153, but I pulled down the gain and then just some moderate adjustments, pushed the bass and the mid and the treble up, pulled back the presence, kept the resonance at 5, the master at 5, and that kind of felt like that got me the sound I wanted. You could use a Marshall JCM800 or something similar as well, which is probably what they are using, but I just found that this sounded like kind of good to my ear, so that's what I went with. I went for a cabinet with 412 cabinet with V30 speakers. Once again, I didn't touch the speakers or anything like that. The positions, I just kind of put an EQ. Actually, no, I didn't even EQ on there. Well, there you go. No EQ on the cabinet either. I was looking at this. So I've got a high and low pass on here at the end of 88 and then 9,424. I don't know why I did it this way when I could have just used the low high cut, but I think I was planning on doing some EQ cuts and I never did. So it's a very simplistic rhythm tone. So as you can see, 3 presets: rhythm, trem, and then clean. The trem and the clean are pretty similar, except as I showed you earlier, the trem has a tremolo, and we turn off those other modulation effects, and that's the preset. So if you've got a quad Cortex, it's linked in the description. I'll link to my other Turnstile videos that I've done as well, because it covers the other tones as preset. And if you're following along with a different modeler or plugin or whatever, hopefully those settings kind of helped you if you're trying to achieve that sound as well. But I will say a final tip: if you don't have a lot of this stuff, the clean, you just want a Roland Jazz Chorus. Even a Fender style amp would work. They clean up okay. And for the heavy tone, a compressor I felt like was pretty crucial. You could get this sound with a lot of amps. So if you don't have the 5153, but you may have a JCM800 or something, put a compressor in front and that will really help you. So thank you very much for watching to the end of this video, and I hope you liked the cover and the tone run through. Thank you.